It was noontime today in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace.
Well, all right. Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about hobbies, skills, maybe trades that are beneficial to being a prepper, right? To the whole ready for the apocalypse, but also kind of make life enjoyable. One of the things I've been talking about lately is that, you know, the big thing is you don't want to get so caught up in your prepping that you're living for some fantasy future that very well could never happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't, who knows, right? I don't know what tomorrow brings, but they say it's better to plant trees, for the future because that's the wise man kind of thing. You hope for the future, you also play for the long term. And so anyway, with that, I think that there are a lot of ways that we could be working towards our prepping goals while at the same time building up skills and enjoying life. And enjoying life is the key. So
Right.
us work that 9 to 5 kind of slave job that you don't want to be doing. I don't know. I mean, I to me, my job is not my dream. Like what I could wake up and do. Like I don't know. Maybe my dream would be going out and taking out a shit every day, or but then I'd probably get tired of that. Get tired of the whatever. We all have things that we love doing. Maybe it's working on the shooting range or doing that kind of thing. Um, Tactical training, right? Hanging out with buddies. Maybe that's the dream. But the bottom line is there's a lot of things that we could do that could put money in our pocket, develop our skills, and be hugely beneficial in the end of the world, right?
Right.
So let's kind of go through it. What do you got, Kevin? What's number one in your mind, or where do you want to start?
Well, one of my favorite hobbies actually is hiking. I
Yes.
like getting outdoors and get things moving, get the blood pumping a little bit, and that's always to me that seems like a good skill to have. Navigating, getting from here to there with compass and a map and figuring it all out, carrying everything you need with you. Um, One of my favorites. I don't know how important it is for prepping, but I think it's definitely a valuable skill to have. Um, Another one of my favorite things doing is camping. I like camping, getting outdoors, using my equipment. Um, you know that sort of stuff. What's your favorite hobbies, Chuck?
So I don't know. I think I'm leaning at the moment when I think long term, career kind of thing. And obviously, I'm at the point where I should have already figured this out. I'm kind of thinking like the retirement play is more like wood shop,
Yeah.
is fabricating and I'm not a craftsman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also can build quality sturdy. Think
Mm-hmm.
more like Amish than beautiful,
Yeah.
right? I know some people think Amish stuff is beautiful. I think it's solid. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily intricate or ornate.
Right.
And that's maybe not my expertise, but I can build solid. And so, like, that's one of the things I've been thinking about. Like, slowly, I have a decent piece of property. I have a tractor that I do the farming stuff with pallet forks. And I'm like thinking, you can buy those sawmills for like 3 grand, 4 grand. They're not a big deal. Um, but you're gonna have to I was like, I could just set up a wood shop. I have my own wood. I have millions of pallets that I have access to, and I could just kind of be building things all day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that might be the way out, right? That I can get away from working for the man man. Now, it always seems like the biggest obstacle that you always face with all these things is healthcare, right? You
Yep.
can't, everyone's like, well, I can't quit my job because healthcare. Well, one,
Mhm.
you keep your wife working. That's the trick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
She has the job with the healthcare, and then you do
Hmm.
whatever you want. That so far hasn't been my experience. So now, since I can't angle that one, I
Hmm.
figure I'm going to see if I can't get the VA or somebody to cover my health care.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody out there
Somebody will do it
to take
for you.
care of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, the trick is to just, you never get sick, never get hurt or sick, and then you're all right,
Maybe I should just eat less and move around more,
Hmm. Yeah.
and then
I
everything
paid
will.
for healthcare for 10, 15, 20 years at least now. And they've gotten a lot more money from me than I've gotten from them.
Yeah, that sounds accurate, right? They don't.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a crazy world. Um, Now, another skill that might be pretty useful and pretty cool is what about fishing? Like I
Yeah.
mentioned in the beginning, running in a fishing charter. Um,
Hmm.
maybe it's making lures or that kind of thing. Developing the skill, doing fishing tours, even if taking people in the outback up to trout creeks and different things, and
Right.
whatever. That's awesome. You can do all different things out there. Um, Next thought, Kevin. What do you got?
Um, Radio communication. This is one that I've never really gotten into. Ham radios. Now I think a lot of people do that. This is a hobby, and people that aren't even preppers or anything like that. People just
Yeah,
do it for fun.
yeah.
Um, you can make a decent amount of money selling equipment and helping people get set up with the equipment.
I think that's
Um,
the big thing is coming in and setting up people. And obviously, I'm sure you could kind of be the trader. Like, I'm sure that's like a skill in itself, but just searching, Facebook yard or marketplace and,
mhm.
Craigslist and whatever. If you're the guy who knows what things actually are and can set people up,
Yeah.
you might be able to find the deals. Sometimes you find those antenna towers and they're like $100 and sometimes they're like $5,000,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, they're the same, it's just people
Hmm.
don't know what they have.
Right.
And
A lot
being
of
able
the
to
time, that's the
recognize
case.
things, I mean, that's definitely a skill.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, ham radio. And even just like getting qualified to teach the classes or run that. I know a lot of the places do that kind of thing for free, but people also have, you set up a Facebook group, a website, and you maybe you market a course to get people trained up or something like that. That's definitely, a neat way to do it and
Hmm.
still turn around and do that. Another big one that's very popular in the prepper community, the way that people talk is blacksmithing, right? You have the
Hmm.
whole nostalgia thing. You can make cool stuff, sell it at like farmers markets, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a
There's a
lot
lot
of
of
different ways. Plus, if you were really skilled, it's not an ability I have, but I imagine they have that whole Etsy thing and all the other websites that you could sell your, horseshoes or whatever it is that you make that's trendy and clever.
hmm Yep. Yeah, I think I see those for sale in a lot of the antique shops and stuff in my town. They, guys will, and girls, I suppose, will make stuff up and sell them right there in the stores, right in the local stores here. Um Now, one of my favorites for this type of thing, hobbies that can, help you out in the after the shit hits the fan, or just to save a little bit of money, is gardening. A lot of people talk about that. A lot of people do that in the prepping world. Um, you know, Maybe you're not saving a lot of money on vegetables, but you're definitely getting good quality produce.
Yes. I mean, that's one of the big things is we talk about health. And if you grow the stuff yourself without the pesticides and whatever, it's funny. My wife, you guys have heard me mention, she's always doing the farmers markets and selling flowers and stuff. And we grow a lot of our own, well, most of our own produce.
Hmm.
However, she'll get stuff from friends or we'll buy meat from the fellow butcher. Well, the
Right.
thing is, she's been talking to him and half of them are using as many chemicals as you're getting at the freaking grocery store. And she's like,
Yeah.
we can't buy vegetables from them anymore. Like we're gonna die. That's
Yeah.
not, so you do have to be careful of that. But that's the point. If you grow your own stuff or
You know
whatever,
exactly what it is.
what's in it.
Yeah, and if you're comfortable with pesticides on everything, and you can spray all your vegetables all you want if you want to, or you
Yeah.
can be 100% organic.
Exactly. There used to be that show, My Name is Earl. I
Hmm.
don't know if you ever
I
saw it, but
remember it. Yep.
they had Christian Slater on there one time, and he was at some kind of hippie commune and
Hmm.
whatever, and Earl's freaking out that he has to run around trying to save the planet, not throwing out garbage and everything's
Right.
stressful. And Christian Slater's like, look, man, it's funny because he has that whole like stoner attitude. He's like,
Yeah.
look, it doesn't have to be like that. You just do a little better each day. And then
Hmm.
he's like, should I eat an apple every day? And he's like, don't eat that shit. Those things are full of pesticides. They'll kill you. And I'm like, yep, that sounds right. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm not trying to be all conspiracy stuff, but damn, if we don't put chemicals on every damn thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy. And it just honestly, I mean, that can't be good, no matter how you look at things.
I
I
got
would also,
some a couple weeks ago. I got some really expensive hot dogs. Boar's Head, like they
yeah,
didn't have any of the nitrates or any of that
right,
stuff in there, uncured. And tell you what, man, those nitrates must taste amazing because these
because
hot
these were
dogs were
not
not as good.
It's always that MSG shaker, that you
Yeah.
used to, yeah. Um, and I would expand, being a farmer, I would expand that to one like traditional farming, but also homesteading.
Hmm.
You can get to the point where you live a very off-grid lifestyle. I mean, to be honest, if we're all honest with ourselves, if we kind of got rid of all our crap, like our fancy car and our, sold our stuff, you could probably go buy a piece of land somewhere.
Hmm.
Now, not a land with a fancy house, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. But hey, right now we're living in some fantasy world where everybody has equity in their home. Maybe if you sold it, you could go buy a piece of land with cash and, buy one of these $20,000 buildings to throw up on it and,
Yeah.
$10,000 foundation. You might be in it for 50 grand is what I'm getting at. Right.
Hmm.
And then you could kind of be self-sustaining where you sell some animal skins and some whatever. It's a fantasy life, but it also could be real. Turns out people do it. You
Hmm.
can get out of the rat race, but I
Yeah.
don't know if you can get out of healthcare. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works.
If you're thinking about selling your house, now's the time to do it
Mm.
because this is the right
Actually, about
market.
3 months ago was the
Yeah.
time to do
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Still, you're right at the cusp. You're
yeah.
still
If you
there.
wait much longer, I think home values are going to start dropping soon.
The word
But
plummet comes to mind.
yeah.
Um, Yeah. So, I mean, that's a thing. Now, maybe you're like me. Like, I actually like gunsmithing. I just am not to legally gunsmith. You need to involve the ATF in your life a whole lot more than I am
Right.
really excited about doing.
Hmm.
So, I don't see that in my future, as a business. But that could be something you could get into. Also, something like I could do, you could run some kind of tactical training course, right?
Yep.
That's definitely something you could do, or even just, a lot of places have a required class to get a concealed carry, that kind of stuff. You
Hmm.
could teach those classes. You could probably get a trooper or somebody to work with you and come fingerprint people. I'm pretty sure you could figure out how to fingerprint people. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
that hard, turns out.
Yep.
But that kind of thing, you could definitely find ways to make money basically playing with guns. Or you could
Yeah.
just join the Navy SEALs or the Rangers or
There
something.
you
I mean,
go.
they play with guns too. It's
Yeah.
like whatever. And you get free healthcare with that.
That's
Maybe
true.
this is all just a big pitch to join the military. Maybe that's, where you guys need to be, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that, I probably wouldn't. I mean, I think no.
Well, you got a age limit. I think we've both aged out of that at this
Well,
point.
you and me, I'm talking about the younger people out there,
Hmm.
not, you know.
Yeah. Another thing I'd tack onto that would be like airsoft and paintball. That sort of stuff is decent training. It's fun to do. You're not going to make a whole lot of money doing that, unless you're selling the gear and equipment. Now, one of the other things that I think gets overlooked a lot is foraging.
Yes.
You might not be able to have access to a lot of places. I've got a pretty good forest, right around me, and it's very easy to get out there and collect some mushrooms and some plants and some berries and stuff. And that's not really worth a lot of money. What is worth a lot of money in this area is people will go out looking for ginseng. And
Yeah.
it's not
Ginseng,
legal technically to go around and dig it up.
other people's. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
but you can make a decent amount of money doing that. And morel mushrooms are real big in
Yeah.
this area, and you can make a decent amount of money if you can find a good batch of that.
Yeah, no, that's it. If you can recognize what's out there, and
Hmm.
that's the thing. Even I know people who just like off bees make a ton of money, or
Hmm.
off mushrooms, kind of thing. You can even find ways to kind of like rent out your land to the bee guy, to throw
Hmm.
it in the back or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's an option, but you got to just kind of think outside the box a little bit, and it might help you get closer to the life that you want. I mean, I gotta say, that's kind of, prepping and everything that we do is really a lifestyle. And I think, finding ways to be creative and make your life better and more enjoyable
Hmm.
is definitely a good way to be. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted to do this episode. I wanted to, talk about the different options that, you could do. I mean, maybe you make like a YouTube channel. Now, I've never had good experience with that. I think it's because I can't keep Kevin from talking like a sailor, or it could be that we talk about things that YouTube and everybody else doesn't exactly like shared over, the
Uh-huh.
world. We're not exactly politically correct. I mean, I look at Kevin and I'm like, he's pretty politically correct, but
I'm
it's
a
tough,
kind, polite person, and I don't know where you're getting this bullshit from.
right? I used to be, when I was a little younger, I was asked the question, can you say a sentence without using fuck in it? And I'm like, of course I
Hmm.
fucking can. I mean, that's fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous. What are you talking about? But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody mentioned you touched on foraging, also going out for scrap metal and
Yeah.
just kind of being a junk collector and turning that stuff over, especially if you have the possibility of storing it for when the metal's up
Yeah.
and kind of dumping it, at the right time. But people hustle. I mean, just the like free junk car removal.
Hmm.
Everybody's got junk that they would be happy for somebody to come take away.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
to be honest, I go to the scrapyard myself, and I probably have about $50 worth of metal laying around the yard that if somebody
Hmm.
came over, it's like, hey, I'll get rid of that right now. I'd be like, okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Take it away.
Go load your truck. Let me help you load your truck. That's not exactly wrong.
Yeah, no, I used to know a guy that every 6 months or so would buy a shitty van and would
Mhm.
just go around to job sites and go through dumpsters. He'd get permission, and just load it up with metal and take it over and drop it off. He said he hit a big score one time where they're ripping all the aluminum bleachers out of a school gymnasium,
Yeah.
and he was able to just load up hundreds of pounds of aluminum and you know and it helped the construction guys out because they didn't have to pay for as many dumpsters.
Right. And that's it, because they're paying to get rid of all that debris. And
Hmm.
construction debris is kind of expensive by the pound when you go to the to the landfill. Sorry.
Right. Yep.
They try and get you on that whole construction debris thing.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly opposed to you taking it. One of the things, you're in New York there, and IBM is a big thing around where you are. And I had a buddy there who used to go dumpster diving at IBM all the time. No, they
Yeah.
frown on that at IBM.
Oh,
I've
they didn't like that.
been told. But that didn't stop him or keep him for last I knew, he's still doing it. And
Mhm.
he'd come out with thousands of dollars. Do you know what this is? This is the and I'm like, whatever, man, dude, you do you, you know.
Yeah, if you can find somebody to pay for it, hey, and the
He
internet's
was
great for that stuff,
yeah. So yeah, dumpster diving, not a bad thing. The big thing, I mean, like you watch YouTube, like people are always like, "Oh, I'll find the little hustle where I sell ebooks or whatever, or get people to sign up for affiliate stuff." That stuff's good, but if you're willing to do some work,
Mhm.
there are some awesome tutorials because that's the thing. Those are the ones that everybody overlooks. Like, they say go where the people aren't, and then you'll find that, not where the customers aren't, where the sellers aren't, right?
Right.
And people are afraid of work. They always talk about the harder it is, the less competition you're going to have.
Mhm.
Like if you're applying for scholarships, if you just put your name in and it's like a lottery, a million people apply. But if
Right.
you have to write a one-page essay,
Yeah, that
500
number drops
people
down,
apply.
yeah.
Right. And then when it's a 10-page essay, then it's like, oh, two people applied.
Mhm.
It's all relative. And like I see guys who are like, oh yeah, I buy this big 55-gallon drum of glue and I put it into little containers this big and I sell it all, that are 2 ounces,
Mhm.
and they sell them on Amazon for $1 a piece. And everybody's like, yeah, because I need 2 ounces, not
Right. Not
55 gallons.
Mhm.
And they find a way. I mean, that's the thing. Those are the guys who are like hustling for bucks. My
Mhm.
fear is like I look at all the easy, like crafty carpentry stuff. I'm like, where do we find the market to sell it? But it's funny because my wife has a good friend who's like all about being like the Facebook marketplace hustler. And,
Mhm.
it's like, I know everything I can. And I'm like, let me be your friend.
Yeah,
I'm like, we
exactly. It's
can,
a good person to know.
let me hand you all this stuff. You keep 50% of the profit. Don't care.
Yeah.
If you can move it, I can keep producing it. Because everything she sees, I'm like, yeah, I could get $50 for that table. And she's like, I can get you 250 for that table. And I'm like, take it. Take
Take
it
it
out the
away.
door and let's go. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Gambling.
Now,
Is gambling the answer? Somebody maybe
if you're
maybe
good
post,
at it,
hey, eh, what were he gonna say?
one of the other ones that I see, a lot of people are actually into is hunting and tracking. Now, obviously, supplementing your meat is great. You can save a lot of money with hamburger costing like $4 a pound, and prices are going up on meat. And if you can supplement it yourself, that's great. Um, Another one though is tracking, and that's just something that anybody can do. You can start learning signs of animals bedding down, recognizing tracks, different types of tracks, and that sort of stuff. It's great for trapping for beginner trappers too. Doing that sort of tracking type stuff, and
Yeah.
you know it's a fairly low cost hobby to get into.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things, and furs, same thing. But again, furs are a very like seasonal kind of thing. That's what I learned from my buddies. They're like, yeah, I sold all these beaver furs for $2,000 this year, and then the next year I sold them all for 400 with the same amount. It's
Yeah,
and then can you hold them? Can you store them? It's always a gamble. It's weird. It's like China is buying all the furs. Like they
really.
sell them at these conventions and then they all go overseas. Like nobody in America buys furs, but that doesn't matter because there's a market for it.
Right.
And there's buyers who, buy up big bunches and then send them out. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot. I'm always butchering the rabbits, and I haven't so far saved the furs and done anything with that. And
Hmm.
people are kind of giving me grief about it. I'm like, what are you crazy? You're not. And I'm like, well, I could get a mitten out of each one. And,
Yeah, well, I mean, really, what is the value of a rabbit fur? six
maybe you need to
dollars
step up your skills, Kevin. Maybe if
Yeah.
you knew how to make it into something fun and creative, and you can get people who are like, oh, it's so soft, so soft. I don't know. You have to wash the pee off it though first, and that's what
Oh, they
I've
pee all
heard.
over themselves.
You know,
Yeah.
who knows?
All right. Next one I got on my list is archery. Um, I know there's a lot of bow hunters in my area.
Yeah,
It kind of goes with the hunting thing. Um, but there's a lot of people that you know, get into it and start selling and stringing bows and um, setting sights on bows for other people. Um, there's definitely a market there. The cost of a lot of the Hoyt bows and stuff now are it's
right.
astronomical. So so it's not a bad thing to get into for a little high side hustle. But it takes a lot of practice. Archery isn't one of those things that you can pick up and get moving right away with. You got to do a lot of work to get that skill under your belt.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah, one of the things, somebody mentioned maybe I should get into making those Russian hats, with the fur. Did you ever
Hmm.
see that Seinfeld where they were taking them, they were making them out of what they called it, nutria or something, and it was the rats. And they were making the hats out of the rat fur. I don't know. Sorry, I'm saying, hey, you got to find a buck wherever you can make it, right? That's always the answer. Um, I don't know. It's an ugly world out there. Maybe have you ever considered moonshine? Now you're probably thinking, well, beer making, because that making moonshine that just sounds illegal, and it probably is. Actually, that same agency that I'm always trying to dodge with my guns, I'd probably be inviting a bunch of trouble if I was making moonshine as well. So probably not a good idea. But knowing how about mead, right? Maybe you hang out at the Renaissance fair and you figure out how to utilize some honey and make mead. Maybe that's the skill you need. Maybe you get your own bees, you start making alcohol, you learn to do things. I'm just saying there's options out there.
Yeah, I saw somebody. I was watching one of those true crime documentaries, and
Mhm.
this lady had going on the dark web and ordered MRSA, which is a disease that
Yes, that
you,
sounds
I guess, can.
yeah.
And she was like infecting some people with it.
Yeah,
And
that's great what you paid. I mean, I didn't even think like killer for hire as an
yeah.
option.
Well, the thing was though, when they went to go question her roommate, they asked her if she brewed beer because
Mm.
apparently, like keeping that bacteria alive and you know making more of it, it's a similar skill set. I didn't realize that, but I mean, like you know, you can go right from brewing beer into chemical warfare or biological warfare. So you know, it opens up a whole world of options.
Can I recommend bleach? Um, you clean your stuff before you go and use it. That might be an option that people might want to look into. I don't know. There's a million ways to hustle out there, and it's basically find out what you're interested in and find out who's. It's funny. That's actually what got us into doing this podcast. When Kevin and I first started it, it was hey, Kevin's into hiking and outdoors and camping and getting out there doing it. I was into and guns and that kind of thing, and then I was into guns, so there was that. And you just go and you develop a hobby around what you love and what you like to do. And at first, one of the big things was we were able to get gun parts and all this stuff. One of our early sponsors was Tac Pack, which was awesome. They have like a monthly fee, and then they send you out a box like these, the meat boxes and the different things. And they would send out gun parts, and they were very generous and sent out lots of awesome things. And then I was like, man, I have all these gun parts. I need to start building guns because what else am I going to do with it? Right. Then we got a bunch of companies, we did triggers and different things. I'm always like, I always keep trying to do a episode on optics, like thermal scopes or scopes, and I can never get any of the companies to go along with that. They're like,
Yeah, it's a
"Yeah,
little bit
we could
higher
send
price
you
range
one. You
there.
could look through it, and then you have to send it back." And I'm like, "Yeah, that doesn't sound like me, right?"
Yeah.
But there's always, things out there. I guess as the show grows, so we can maybe get a little better and whatever. That's why you need to be like and subscribe and share it. Make sure
Hmm.
you're subscribed to the page. That would be awesome. Like it when an episode comes out. That's the kind of thing that can get us more sponsors. That could get us, you saw we did some commercials with the show, and then I backed off a little bit because I just kind of found like people might not like that, and I tried to back off. But if you get us some sponsors that we talk about on the show, then we can have a lot less commercial stuff and do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things I got on my list here is car repairs.
Nice.
That's definitely a skill. It's
So you need
definitely
to be
something that you
mechanic.
can learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you can save yourself a lot of money. Um, or, I know a lot of people that just will do that as a hobby for friends and make a little bit of cash on the side. Um, that's definitely something that when the shit goes down will be a valuable skill. Having that sort of stuff uh, in your back pocket is definitely something that's going to be helpful.
Right. Um, no, exactly. One of the other, the comments mentioned, the lead from batteries when you're out scrap metaling. If you're doing the auto car part repair stuff, that's huge.
Hmm.
You're coming across this stuff, you're changing batteries for people, you're doing it, and the stuff's just coming into your lap. And then, hey, the car won't start. I can't afford to fix it. You gave me bad news. Oh, you have a trailer and you could just get rid of that for me? No
Hmm.
problem. You head over to the
Yeah.
scrapyard. I mean, those are the kind of things. It's thinking outside the box. And sometimes it's hustling a little bit. Like, you gotta have three things going on. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying we need to be chasing dollars, but that's not a bad way to be. There's that show Mountain Men, right? One of the guys in the mountains in North Carolina, I think it's Eustis. This guy's running like classes on how to be off grid and foraging and woodworking and different things. He has all these different classes, but then he's also selling lumber from his trees.
Hmm.
Then he's doing tree removal and doing that kind of thing. And thing is, you do the tree removal and then you have the wood that you can sawmill and do that kind of stuff, and you can get a lot going on with it. So
Yeah.
there's ways that you can make money on both ends and turn
Hmm.
it into something good. Now, I'm not saying, everybody likes insurance and, oh, I'm worried about somebody taking down a tree and, oh, it'll fall on my house and I'll get sued and whatever. All right, that's fine. Maybe that's not the right one for you. Maybe you're scared. If you're
Hmm.
scared, that's all right. That's you do you. But, there's always something out there that you can hustle for and turn up the next thing. And that's the thing is kind of, I guess my push is I want people to kind of live the life you live. You could be like our buddy Darren over at Mayhem Country Living, who made a YouTube channel and he's just out there doing it, stuff, enjoying life every day and making stuff. Now, he's got a face made for the camera. Me and Kevin, not so much. So, you're kind of stuck, right?
Hmm.
You have options that are available to you. Like, Kevin and I might be good working at the fish market, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. No, I've got a face made for radio and a voice made for silent film, but whatever. Just got to keep pushing through. Um, let's see. One of the other ones that I'm looking at here that I have on my list is cooking, and everybody cooks, right? Everybody has to do some sort of stuff like that. Everybody likes to eat now and then. What I'm talking here is kind of cooking from scratch. You know what I mean? If you give me a pound of flour, a pound of sugar, and some water, I don't know what the fuck I'd do. but my wife could turn that shit into some, something amazing to eat.
Magic, right?
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's some people have better skills than others at that sort of stuff, and baking and cooking, it's really a pretty straightforward way to save money on your grocery bill for sure. Um, Another one is raising chickens. A lot of people do that now. It's like turning into a real hobby, but it seems like the price of eggs keeps going up. I remember as a kid, you get a dozen eggs for $1, and now it's nowhere near that anymore. So, it's that sort of stuff. Little extra work can save you a lot of money.
Yeah. No, and that's it. It's just thinking outside the box and finding ways. I don't know. I just wanted to like inspire people to kind of, maybe get into the life that you want to live instead of working for the man with nonsense. It doesn't have to be that hard. And it's funny, people always, I always hear people say, "Well, what if you had a heart attack and the doctor said it's too stressful for you to go to work anymore and whatever, and you had to find a way to make it work? How would you do it?" And it's
Hmm.
kind of like that. It's, sometimes you need the nudge to push you over the edge. A lot of it is like you'll see these creative people with Etsy and stuff like that selling stuff and making a decent living, or people with YouTube channels. It's like, oh, I just became a single mom. You're a mom and maybe things turn out the way you want or whatever. And it's like, I need to find a way to be with my kid and, do that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And you get forced into the situation. But I think the more you keep an open mind and just think about options, look for
Hmm.
opportunities. Um, Welding, right? Getting a plasma cutter, you can do all kinds of good stuff where you're making creative stuff out. The big thing is, I always find it hard to believe with like the plasma cutter and the CNC machines, that kind of thing. I feel like that stuff's expensive to ship, or it's large if you're going to make money with it. It's
Hmm.
tough. You got to have a market and find it. But you know, hey, you do you, right? I mean, there's always a way. And obviously, welding, fabricating people's trailers and doing little additions. I'm always looking, I can make metal stick together, but I don't really have skills.
Right,
And
right.
like I'm always talking to one of my buddies who I know he makes like big camping rigs in the back of, like, my buddy had a Rubicon or something. And this
Hmm.
guy like made a big slide out camping thing with, a sink and like different, it was all
Hmm.
like a nice metal frame to make it awesome. And that's the kind of stuff he does. And I'm like, hey, the back of my truck, that bed, you could do a little patchwork there. That would make my life a lot easier.
Hmm.
Another thing, if you really want, you could just sell blood and sperm, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
easy way out?
I think
Um,
that you have to be over 6 foot tall and have a certain IQ though to actually make your sperm
Make it
valuable. Yeah,
valuable. I've also heard if you're young and healthy, you could sell your poop, right? Did you see that
I
South
didn't know
Park?
anything about
Oh
this.
yeah.
No.
Oh, there's the thing. So you can make like 100 grand a year selling your poop to these companies that use it because they like the bacteria, and
Okay.
they actually, you don't even want to know what they do with it, but because it involves other people buying poop
All
from
right.
home.
All right.
You know, you do you, right? I'm just saying there's options out there. Now they want young and healthy, so it's probably not me, but that other guy might be out there.
Hmm.
And hey, there's options. I wasn't just coming up with any way to make money. I didn't
Hmm.
say desperate. I
Right.
said ways to enjoy your life, but maybe you're somebody who likes to play with poop. I don't know.
Yeah, I
You
mean, maybe you're into that sort of stuff. I think they call that a fecophiliac.
There you
So,
go.
I mean, some people are into that. You didn't get proper potty training when you were a kid, and now you've got mental health issues. But
Yeah,
whatever, that's not your fault.
yeah. No, there was a South Park episode, and you can that's a real thing though. If you Google like, "Can I sell boy poop for money?" or something,
Hmm.
you'll find it, and it's like big money, right? They pay because they want like a monthly plan or weekly plan where you're selling, and
Uh huh.
they're sending somebody by to pick it up and rush it right out. You got to get into it. You
Hmm.
do you. But there's options out there. I'm just saying, be creative, think outside the box, find a way to do you and kind of create the life that you want.
Hmm.
And that's the way to be, because honestly, spending time with your family, spending time with people you care about, or at least doing things that you love doing is going to make life better. And
Yeah.
I just kind of also wanted to point out that there's a lot of ways that you can, you know, further your prepping life without, blowing your budget. You can actually turn it into something positive. And I
Hmm.
think
Right.
that's what it comes down to.
And I
So,
would love to hear you, all your guys' ideas on, what are your side hustles? What are the stuff that you make money doing?
right.
Um, I would love to hear more about that stuff. Leave some comments and let us know.
That would be it. Now, yep, there are options, I'm seeing a lot of things, that you could do. Um, hey, you do you. That's all I can say. You know, there's a
Uh-huh.
market for guys like me. I'm just saying. But there's also, you can sell your socks on eBay. I think that's a thing. You're
Yeah, that
supposed to
was a
wash
creepy
them
one.
first.
I've seen that, and
You
that
know,
seems creepy. I had a friend that got into that, and they said it was actually a lot more work than they thought selling their dirty socks,
mhm,
because people
mhm.
wanted videos of them wearing the sock and like doing things with their socked feet, and it
They
got
caught me.
overly creepy for him. To me, just selling plain sweaty socks to people is overly creepy, but
That,
his limit
exactly.
was a little bit higher.
Now that the show had to take a turn for the worse,
Hmm.
here we are. I digress. So, show ideas, thoughts, concerns, questions. You want to tell Kevin to put his phone on silence before he does an episode, whatever you want to
Hmm.
do. Email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Otherwise, check out the website. We actually have the website up and running and looking a lot better than it has in years. If you go to survival and basic badass podcast.com, that's great. If you're catching us live, you can get tickets at preppercamp.com. They're on sale till the 30th, but I mean, I know if you're not catching it live, that timeline's a little short, but
Yeah.
you can still get tickets for Prepper Camp and see what stuff's going on. You can check. I'm in there as the featured speakers. You might want to, come
Hmm.
out and visit us in North Carolina and see what's going on in September. And there's going to be a lot of great speakers out there. So something to keep an eye out for. Anyway, I would say with that, stay safe and we will talk to you guys next week.